Today's episode is presented by Ice Cream Man. In theaters August 7th from the horror section. Writer and director Eli Roth wants you to cool off this summer in Baleen Bay, an idyllic small town that melts into sheer terror when an ice cream man serves up soft-serve sweets with harrowing hardcore horror. Ari Miller stars as the titular terror, topped with music by Snoop Dogg and effects by Oscar winner Adrian Moreau and Steve Newburn. Say it with me, folks. I scream, you scream. We all scream for Ice Cream Man. In theaters August 7th. Get tickets now.
And welcome to Scare You to Sleep. I'm your host, Shelby Novak, and here are some true stories sent in by your fellow listeners. It's currently midnight, the night before I leave for Midsummer Scream. I've had a busy week, but I thought what's a better time than to sit down and tell you some ghost stories. I would never want to leave you with nothing to listen to. And it is, what is the witching hour? Is it midnight or is it 3 a.m.? I can't quite remember. Probably because it's late. Well, here are some true stories that gave me some goosebumps as I was reading through my inbox. This first one is from ZS. Hey Shelby, this is a real thing that happened to me and is a very bittersweet story. So it's my first ever true submission. I used to work in medicine assisting those with dementia and Alzheimer's at varying degrees. Alas, my tenure in the field ran short due to some traumatic, far too extreme circumstances that aren't relevant. Overall, I loved working in care and being a medical technician. The toll it takes can be a bit daunting, however. As you may know, these jobs are pretty heavily surrounded by death. These people are at the end of their lives, be it 1 or 10 years from the moment you meet them. Oftentimes it is far less than 10. Our job, in a nutshell, is to be the last bastion of comfort, ensure that they are clean and presentable, as well as in as little pain as possible as they pass. Well, enter Susan. Susan was there from when I first started at my last facility. I'm obviously going to abstain from stating her last name, but she was in an incredibly sad situation from the get-go. Her documentation listed no family members, no next of kin, nothing. Essentially, her power of attorney was a corporation, something I didn't even know could happen. I will say that the woman who worked for said company was very diligent about her care, and I am endlessly grateful for that. Susan was a lot of things, otherwise. She was very sweet and always smiled when I or the caregivers would go and see her. She couldn't leave her bed anymore and wasn't able to swallow water without assistance. She also wasn't able to say much for the same problems. I worked the night shift and would mostly be caring for people while they were in bed, so it didn't make much of a difference to me in the long run. Still, it was always great to see her smile despite the pain. One night I came in, and by this time everyone had known her time was just around the corner. She'd been in hospice for a long time, which in my head always meant a shortened countdown. I was told she was just changed, was sleeping well, and didn't seem to be declining all too much that day. I set up for work, and within 10 minutes of my being there, I went to go check on her. Somewhere in that 10-minute period, Susan had died. It feels disrespectful to describe her state when I found her, so I'm going to abstain. What I will say is a lot of weird feeling paperwork had to follow. An individual must be changed. The morgue or crematory service must be contacted. A hospice nurse must come onto the scene to declare the individual gone, and in most cases, family would be contacted. But I had no one to call for her. I cried a lot for Susan. I don't know what caused the separation from family, but in those final moments, it hardly feels like it matters at all. I know that I and my coworkers did all we could for her in the end, and ultimately that had to be enough. Flash forward to the next day. Vibes are off. Folks are very saddened by the loss of Susan. This is common following the death of a resident. While I'm working near her old room, I hear a weird click, almost as if a light tapping against wood. I round the corner to see a blue-colored pencil rolling on its own against the wall. Curious, I pick it up and bring it to my coworkers. I jokingly say, "Come on, Susan, let's go color," as I head to the front to do some paperwork. It was in bad taste, and I know that, but I was coping with her loss. It felt nice to think she was still there, hanging out. I got to the front desk and set the colored pencil on an empty table. I need to really emphasize this. This table had nothing on it, and I confirmed that there was nothing there with the previous shift as well. I sit down and start doing a bunch of medicine orders and what have you. As I finish up, I look to my right, and what do I see on my desk? Well, you guessed it. A blue-colored pencil, sitting passively in front of my eyes, about 30 feet from where I'd put it. I look at the table I set it on and see that it is in fact no longer empty. Instead, a page from one of the public coloring books was sitting in the center of the table. I get up and pick it up to see the picture had been scratchily filled, entirely in blue. A lot of people I told this story found it extremely creepy, and it makes the night shift hard for some people to think that the dead may still wander the place they called home for a long time. It always rattles me a bit, but I felt such an overwhelming sadness when I found the picture. How long had she just wanted to color with someone? Why did she have to wait so long? Why couldn't I have asked her to do it earlier? Truth is, Shelby, there is no good answer to those questions, and I implore everyone to do those menial things that could mean the world to someone. No one should have to wait to be a ghost to find joy in this world. Thanks, Shelby. That one had been eating me alive for a while. You're always a gem, a pleasure to listen to, and I really hope you enjoyed it despite the melancholy. ZS. I absolutely did enjoy that story. Thank you so much for sharing. And I never take for granted the amount of vulnerability it takes for so many of you, and especially when it comes to stories like this one, to share this with such a wide audience, and with me, with anyone, honestly. That was a beautiful story, and it is one thing that I've really tried to keep close, is just doing little things for family and people I love, and just showing up overall. I've really tried to make that a theme in my life. People have become, I guess, I hate when people generalize, like, people back in my day, people weren't like this. People have always been flaky, but I've just really tried not to be flaky and show up for people. I mean, this past weekend I went on a little girls' trip out of town to Palm Springs to celebrate a friend's birthday. And something, I mentioned this a little bit in my rambles. This is a little tiny ghost story of my own. For the past week before that, my grandmother who passed had been in my dreams every single day, every single night. She was in my dreams telling me to check on her house, Sometimes in the dreams, she was still alive in the dream and she was off somewhere and I needed to go check on her house. At one point, it was like in the dream, my mom was like, go check on your grandma's house. And she was like, just, you need to, and then at one point it was like my whole family was there. And she was kind of like, see, you need to check in. And so I was at this little, like this girls' weekend in Palm Springs. And I was driving down there and it was like my grandma whispered in my ear. Because I was trying to figure out all week. I was like, what is she trying to tell me? I don't have time to go to my hometown. I just don't. I'm very busy at the moment. I've explained it before. I'm working several jobs right now. I'm very busy. I don't have time. And it's like on the way there, she just whispered to me, and look, skeptics out there, I totally get it. It could be my own subconscious. Totally. I'm totally open to that as well. It doesn't have to be ghosts, but this is what it felt like. It felt like I heard her whisper to me, basically like, you're going to be so close, just go. And I was about an hour and a half away from my hometown. So after brunch the next morning, I said goodbye to my friends and I drove the hour and a half to see my family. And I saw my parents and my other grandma, who is still living, and drove her to a doctor's appointment. I helped my mom move a rug. This is not me trying to pat myself on the back. I'm just saying ZS with the little reminders of like just going out of your way a little bit and trying to remember. It's so hard to remember what everyone else has going on when you have so much going on, but just stopping to breathe, or, you know, having your dead grandma like visit you in a dream to be like, hey, just go check in. Her house at the moment is occupied by renters, my family. It's still in the family, and my family members who own the house still are renting it out. So I couldn't exactly go in and be like, look, it's fine inside. So I did. It was kind of silly, but I stopped by this burrito place that I love on my way out of town. And I grabbed a breakfast burrito, and it was just up the block from my grandma's house, and I slowed down in front of it, and I was like, look, Grandma, it's fine. Your house is still there. It's still standing, but I have a feeling it wasn't her actual house she was telling me to check in on. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? This is from Jade. Hi, Shelby. I love your show. I love all the episodes, but especially the more casual reads that you do. I really enjoy the rambles and the baking tips. I have some merch, though, and I support you on Patreon. Wow, thank you, Jade. Thank you so much. I get a little shy sometimes, so this is my first time writing. I've had a couple of unexplainable experiences in my life, but this is my best story, I think. So this story takes place when I was 16 or 17, sometime around 1998 or 1999 in New England. My friend, let's call her Kathy, got a job house sitting one summer. The family hired her because they needed someone who knew about horses, and Kathy used to ride a lot when we were young. They also had an enormous cat that was the light of his family's life. Kathy's first night sleeping over there, she called me to ask if I would come over and stay with her so she didn't have to stay in the house alone, as it was creeping her out. The family had given her permission to have guests as long as she didn't have crazy parties. Kathy explained that the house was way out in the country, away from everything, and that she couldn't leave the horses or the house. But she was worried that the house was haunted, and she didn't think the ghost liked her being there. I was surprised for a couple of reasons. First, Kathy was like my ballsiest, bravest friend, never afraid of anything. She once walked up to the school bully and punched him right in the face, knocked him out, and was only worried she'd sprained her hand kind of girl. And second, I was shocked that she believed in ghosts. I was 100% a skeptic, non-believer at the time. But we were reading Hamlet in school at the time, and she said to me, "There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy, which is something Hamlet says to his best friend in the play when the best friend makes fun of Hamlet for believing in ghosts. What the hell, I thought. I'm in. I drove over and it was like way back in the country. It took me a solid hour to get there. It wasn't a house, more like a mansion. It was a huge, gorgeous, sprawling estate. Kathy had been told by the owners that it had been around since the Revolutionary War, and yeah, it looked like it. Done in red brick, white spires, like something from a movie. Manicured lawns, a pool, stables, the works. Kathy met me in the garden and said she was debating having us sleep on the lounge chairs by the pool because the house was way too hostile. I mean, I was open to that, but I wanted to see the inside first. I remember that I was kind of mocking her still about how houses aren't hostile and ghosts don't exist. But she takes me in. It's as gorgeous as I expected. Visibly old, filled with antiques, but just stunning. One unique factor of the house is that it's built in a square, with the rooms all connecting to the landing around the circular staircase in the middle. At the top of the staircase, you can see every door. I want to say there were 6 doors, but it's been a long time. There are a couple of rooms that I remember verbatim, and one, well, it was in the corner. You open the door to a marble-topped sideboard or dresser with a large gilded mirror hanging above it. It was across from a big brass bed that you could see more in the mirror than you could from the doorway. I can't describe this next part exactly. It was ice cold. This was the summer. My hackles went up, my stomach dropped, and there was this overwhelming sense of nausea, of foreboding, of let's get the hell out of here now. I was looking at the inlaid wood details of the dresser, and I just knew that if I let my eyes wander up to the mirror, I would be able to see something in it that I shouldn't be able to see, that shouldn't be there, something that was going to be floating above the bed. I don't know how, but I didn't look above the bed. We just backed out of the room and went back to the den. I must have lost all the color in my face because Kathy said to me, "Yeah, that's the room that got to me too." Kathy took me back in the TV room/den where she'd been watching TV on a huge couch. She said there had been noises and house creakings and wind, but all the kinds of things you could explain by creepy atmosphere at night. We are joined almost immediately upon pressing play on Pretty Woman by the family's cat. Let's call him Shakespeare, who is the bestest, most awesome kitty ever. Shakespeare was about 2 feet tall and the largest cat ever. He was a ginger tom and very, very friendly. Think like a cat golden retriever. He settles in and lays across the side of the couch to watch rom-coms with us and just purrs the whole time. We closed all the doors in the house to limit the stuff we can hear or see from the rest of the house. You know, because we are already freaked out. For a while, nothing happens, and then Shakespeare stands up, hackles up, and starts growling at the door to the stairway. Kathy and I just stare at each other. There's a sound of feet running up the stairs, and we just book it to the hall/landing area. But there's no one on the stairs. We start going down the stairs to go back to the first floor, and all of a sudden, Shakespeare comes running down after us like something had spooked him. When he reaches our feet, he turns and looks back up the stairs. His hackles go back up, and he starts freaking out, yowling, hissing, spitting up the stairs at something that neither Kathy nor I can see. We're so scared we don't know what to do. Then, a door slams so hard it shook the banister beneath my hand. We both jump. when we finally make it upstairs to see if everything looks okay, every door on the landing is open. We slept outside on the lounge chairs. Anyway, love the show. Jade. Oh boy, Jade. What a doozy. That is so scary. I'm jealous you got to see that house. That house sounds like everything I would absolutely love when it comes to decor. But holy shit, what was in that house? Like, I mean, I imagine someone who built that house during the Revolutionary War was some sort of rich landowner, if you get my drift, and was probably not a great person. So yeah, I could imagine there being some evil in a house like that. But dang, like, for a cat that like lives there to even be scared, like, it's not like the cat's not used to seeing whatever it saw. Ugh, I'm giving myself chills. I hate like that sort of thing where like an animal can see something and you can't, and it's like, what is it seeing? And my brain makes up, you know, some sort of horrific thing that was standing on the stairs staring at you guys the whole time. And all the doors being open. Oh, yeah, more chills up my spine. Thank you so much, Jade. That was fantastic. Sorry it happened to you, but also fantastic story.
Today's episode is presented by Ice Cream Man. In theaters August 7th from the horror section. Writer and director Eli Roth wants you to cool off this summer in Baleen Bay, an idyllic small town that melts into sheer terror when an ice cream man serves up soft serve sweets with harrowing hardcore horror. Ari Miller stars as the titular terror, topped with music by Snoop Dogg and effects by Oscar winner Adrian Moreau and Steve Newburn. Say it with me, folks. I scream, you scream. We all scream for Ice Cream Man. In theaters August 7th. Get tickets now.
And let's get to our last story of the episode. This one comes with an interesting update as well. This is from Athena. Hi Shelby, I'm Athena. First, let me just say I totally love your podcast. I listen to your stories while driving, while doing chores, and when I'm on the plane traveling. Just so you know, listening to your podcast also helped me get over a breakup years ago. And I totally sink in deep with your guided nightmares. Oh my god, that makes me feel so good to know that I helped you get over a breakup. I don't know, that really touched me. Thank you, Athena. I am a general surgeon now in Philippines and still listen to you everywhere. Your calming, lovely voice really gets me relaxed, and since my childhood, I have always been a horror fanatic. Thank you for your podcast. Hell yeah, Athena. You're a general surgeon? That's badass. That is so cool. I think you might be my first surgeon who's ever written into the show that I know of. I mean, a lot of people, especially with these true ones, stay a little more anonymous, but like, hell yeah. Go Athena. Badass surgeon. Sorry, let me just get over hyping you up and let's get to your actual story. Now for this story. This truly happened, and this was the most supernatural experience I personally encountered. Just a quick background. We are sort of a family of doctors in a city in Philippines. We're a very close family. There's a whole family of doctors? You guys are all oh my god. Wow. That's so impressive. My late grandmother was a doctor and established our family business in the city. She and my grandfather bought a 4-story building. Now, the setup is the clinics, including my dad's clinic and my optometrist aunt, and pharmacy is in the first floor. The second floor has a dental clinic and a pediatric clinic. My 2 uncles, one a pediatrician and the other a dentist. The rest of the floors were rented out by local businesses. Oh my god. I'm sorry, I'm just like I'm so impressed by this whole family of doctors. That is so cool. In the second floor of the building, there's this hidden room in a corner. When I was in elementary, I would hang out there with my friends to eat lunch and play. No creepy stuff actually happening, but it just felt a bit eerie because it was a hidden room. When I was in high school, my cousin Jewel was born, and it became his baby room. for when he would stay in the building while my aunt and uncle were at work in their respective clinics. They furnished the room more and baby-proofed everything. We would also stay there sometimes. I really didn't feel or see anything remotely scary, just the vibe of the room that was just different. So when I was in my senior year in high school, I had a very visual dream. I was in the clinic, and I see this lady coming down the stairs from the second floor. She was a woman with long black hair and wearing a long-sleeved black dress. And creepier, I can't see her face, just the long black hair. She was moving really slowly, descending down the stairs, but she didn't seem to walk. She looked like she was just floating. I was impaled in my position. I couldn't move. But when I managed to force myself to run because it seemed like she was going towards me, I ran, but my steps were too slow, like I was in slow motion. I was already panicking so much. I look back and she was still floating towards me. I got out of the building, but outside, the place was different. When I got out, it was just desert everywhere, with a single low tree. It looked like a Palo Verde tree. The skies were turning reddish, slowly going dark. I still ran, and she was still behind me. I remembered clearly in my dream that I planned to climb that tree, but it was too low, and she could still reach me. When I got to the tree, though, I woke up. I woke up sweating. Everything was so detailed in my dream. And who was that lady chasing me? It was the most visual dream I had that I really banked it into my memories for years, even until now. I can recall everything, so here's the catch. Years after that dream, I was already in med school and living with my cousin Tanya. Tanya was in college then. She's the older sister of my baby cousin Jewel. Anyway, one night, me and Tanya hung out, just chilling at home and gossiping, girl stuff. I don't quite remember our conversation then, but we got to talking about horror stuff, and she told me she had a scary dream when she was in high school. I was so shocked. It was the same dream I had, to the most specific details. But her dream started different because in her dream, she saw the same lady I saw. But the lady was coming out of the hidden room in the second floor of our building. We compared notes on the appearance of the black lady, and everything was the same. The black lady with the long black hair, her face unseen, and wearing a long black dress. Same as my dream, she said the lady was floating. She ran away, but, like my dream, she couldn't move fast, as if she was in slow motion. She ran down to the first floor while the lady still floated towards her. She ran and got out of the building. When she got out, she saw that everything outside was deserts, just like my dream, and with a single low tree. We even Googled pictures of the desert tree and confirmed that we saw the same one. In her dream, Tanya also considered climbing the tree to get away, but it was too low. All the details in her dream were the same as mine, even the reddish sky turning dark. Then she woke up. So we were talking about the same dream, years after we had it. We came up with theories of what the dream meant or who the black lady was, but of course, no full investigation. We don't know the history of the building. It was already there, owned by the family since we were born. I still don't know who that lady was. It was uncanny. I'm truly amazed and creeped out. Who could that lady be, and what did she want? Why did she chase us? Until now, it remains a mystery, and we still talk about it sometimes. Anyway, that's the end of it. We never dreamed of her again, but still, I get chills thinking about it. I hope the story gets picked, but just for you to read my story is an honor. I'm also a writer, writing fiction stories, and soon enough, I'll send my work to you. Thank you, Shelby. Now here is the update. She sent in second email saying, the black lady an update. Hey again, Shelby. Okay, so this is a surprising update on the story. I realized only after sending my story that I didn't even try to investigate a little bit. So I asked my dad about the clinic building. I asked him if my grandparents bought the property with the building already there. He told me they built the clinic building from the ground. Then I asked what that place used to be. He told me it used to be a residential location with a few houses, and get this, it burned down. I gasped. Did anyone die? I asked. My dad said a woman died, or at least according to the old rumors, since it happened such a long time ago. But the place really did burn down. I got chills. What are the chances that it's connected to my shared nightmare with Tanya? I mean, come on. The black lady, could it be the woman who died? Charred? I hope this story makes it out. I even recorded a video on that hidden room. Should you want to see it, I would want to see it. Yes, please, Athena. I still work there to cover my dad's clinic every Thursday. Looking forward to more of your episodes. Always such a comfort for me. Thank you so much, Athena. That is so creepy. I don't cover a lot of dream stories just because I don't know how interesting they would be to the wider audience. Even though I know how palpable dreams can feel, I just told my own dream story earlier, so I totally get it. But this one just struck me, especially with the update, that there was something on there and it did burn down. And maybe the desert setting was the remains of the building after the initial building was taken away, and it was just dirt. I don't know. That's just so fascinating to me. Thank you so much, Athena, for sharing. And yeah, if you have any video of that hidden room, I would love to see it, just to give some more context to everything you're describing. And thank all of you. And once again, thank you to those of you who sent in stories. Again, I know it can be difficult to share some of these things, especially if you are usually a skeptic and you just have something inexplicable that happens to you. It's a little difficult to share. That's why I always keep it pretty anonymous with these. I always only use first names, or you can also give me a fake name or ask me to leave completely an anonymous, like just say it's from an anonymous person, because I understand some of these. And then sometimes, they have to do with people's jobs. So yeah, thank you so much for submitting. If you have your own true story you'd like to send into the show to be considered, you can send it to scareyoutosleep@gmail.com. Please, please, please put true story or true submission, anything with the word true in it, in the subject line, so I know where to properly put that into my inbox. Otherwise it will get lost, so please remember to do that. And also feel free to submit your fictional stories that way as well. And if you'd like to follow the show on social media, you can follow at Scare You to Sleep. You can join the Facebook group, the Scare You to Sleep Facebook group, and the Scare You to Eat Facebook group, which is a spin-off group where we all share pictures of our food and talk about baking and cooking and things. And you can follow me personally on Instagram at Shelby B. Novak. That's mostly the social media I stick around these days. So you can follow me personally at Shelby B. Novak on Instagram. And what else? Oh, you can join Patreon if you'd like ad-free episodes and bonus episodes. Patreon.com/scareyoutosleep. And I think that's all the little housekeeping stuff. You can check me out on 2 other shows that are very different vibes than this show, just for fair warning. But not Scare You to Sleep. This is Scare You to Sleep. This one is Scare You to Sleep. The Bloody Disgusting podcast every Wednesday with my co-host Zena Dixon. And I'm also on the Lady Killers every Thursday. And so yeah, go check those out if you'd like. And if you're at Midsummer Scream right now, this weekend, come by the Bloody Disgusting booth to say hello. I think I'm going to be doing a ghost tour this weekend as well on the Queen Mary, which is very exciting. I did one last year, and I'm happy to do it. I'm always happy to do a ghost tour. So happy to. Love it. So maybe I'll come back with my own ghost stories for the next True Stories episode. I guess we'll have to see. And I believe that's all. I don't have a baking corner this week. It's been busy. And like I said, I did a little detour at the beginning of the week to my family, and then now it's like my week's not cut short because I'm doing work, but I am leaving to go to Midsummer Scream. So it's been a lot of frozen Trader Joe's stuff this week, I'm not gonna lie. Not much ingenuity in the old kitchen over here. But some of you have been sending me your summer recipes. I have been receiving them. I haven't gotten to respond to anyone, and I really appreciate it. Someone even sent them on the anonymous form. That's another thing. You can always email me, but I also have an anonymous form in the show notes if you ever want to send me a compliment, a critique, a recipe, a confession. Always happy to take confessions of crime, of love. I think I got one, it wasn't too long ago, where someone like confessed they were in love with someone else, and like, I love it. Just go vent. You can come in there. Just get something off your chest. Confess your deepest, darkest feelings. Yeah, just let it go, you know? You can use my anonymous form for that. Or again, recipes. Anyway, I'm going to go get a little sleep before I have to get up and load up my car full of stuff for this convention. And candy, if you're at the convention, we always do trick-or-treating, so come by and get some candy. I got a whole big candy haul today to hand out, and I have stickers. Come get some stickers. All kinds of stuff. Come by. Say hi. And I will see you next week. I love you. Go get some sleep. Sweet dreams.
Today's episode is presented by Ice Cream Man. In theaters August 7th from the horror section. Writer and director Eli Roth wants you to cool off this summer in Baleen Bay, an idyllic small town that melts into sheer terror when an ice cream man serves up soft-serve sweets with harrowing hardcore horror. Ari Miller stars as the titular terror, topped with music by Snoop Dogg and effects by Oscar winner Adrian Moreau and Steve Newburn. Say it with me, folks. I scream, you scream. We all scream for Ice Cream Man. In theaters August 7th. Get tickets now.